What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Hope everybody's having a great day or night whenever you're watching this. Indiana Pacers fans gotta be happy as hell right now. 43 points out of Tyrese Haliburton. He is definitely in the top 10 point guards in the NBA conversation for sure. He's somewhere solidified in that top 10. Been an awesome player all year. He's been really good his entire career. And this year, he's just taken his game to a new level and ascended into that top 10 territory. Before the season, I thought he was around that, 13 to 15 range. I think somewhere now he's probably around the 7 to 8 range. But let's break down his season a little bit, the success he's been having, because I think he's not getting a lot of credit because he plays in Indiana, and media doesn't like to give a lot of attention to that. But I'm going to do it right now. So before I do, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you enjoy this kind of content, please like the video. But let's give Tyrese some love. On the season, he's averaging like 21 points a game, 4 rebounds, and 11 assists, leading the league in assists as a third-year point guard. Awesome metric to have. 1.7 steals a game. So he's in those passing lanes. He actually tries on defense. He actually gives a damn about defense. And he's a very, very impactful defensive player for even having a very slim frame, but he's got a lot of length and he's able to get in those lanes a lot. And then, when he gets those steals, he's leading the transition break. It's almost guaranteed to be an easy 2 points because he's going to set somebody up or finish it himself. And he doesn't get a lot of credit for being a pretty solid defender, in my opinion. He shoots 39% from three on 7 attempts a game, so he's getting them up there. Yes, he has a weird looking form, but he himself has said, if it goes in, it goes in. Essentially, it's just something that it worked for him because he wasn't strong enough as a kid to get the ball up to the rim. So he had to do that kind of shot put kind of shot. And he's using it in the pros. And I mean, he's still hitting shots with it. Literally hit like the game winner tonight against the Miami Heat. Just in his threes, what I like about him is they're not like standstill, catch and shoot kind of threes. They're like off the bounce, coming off of screen, pull up, like transition. He's moving a lot when he's taking them. The degree of difficulty is a little bit higher, and I can respect that kind of shooting, especially when he's shooting 39%, taking a bunch of them a game. It's pretty efficient from there. And honestly, he's pretty efficient overall, 47% from the field. I think he's like 87 or 88% from the free throw line. Just a good solid shooter. He really takes good shots for the most part. He doesn't take a lot of bad shots, not a lot of heat checks or anything like that. I think he plays winning basketball for a point guard, which is really, really important because if you have a guy that's just going out there to get numbers and isn't liked by his teammates and isn't really like looking to get wins like that, he's just trying to stat pad, you're going to have a different dynamic. But I think he's really out there just trying to be the best teammate that he can be, which you don't always see. And then, he's trying to put on great performances at the same time. So he's kind of finding that middle ground and he's really succeeding at it. I think he's only 22 years old, 21 years old or something in his third year. Like he's caught on really, really quick for a point guard. It's like one of the hardest positions to really adapt and learn in the NBA. And he's done it pretty much seamlessly. I mean, tonight, 43 points, 7 assists. He hit 10 threes against the Miami Heat. 10 threes. That's a lot. The record, I think, is Steph holds it. I think it's like 13 or something, but still 10 threes in any game. I think he was like 10 of 16 from three overall. Very, very efficient, knocking them down. And they needed every single one of them. They only won by 3. One of them was the last 3 that he hit. So, any point guard that's going out there and putting up 43 and what was it? 7 assists. That's awesome. And he's playing at Miami is that team that's right next to them in the seeding. So you never know how this season's going to play out. Wins like this might be huge in terms of tiebreakers. So I think now that with this win, they should jump up over Miami and be the 7 seed, which I'm going to kind of get into that right now because I think it's really, really important. This team was expected to be a bottom 5 team in the NBA. I expected them to be that. Most of everybody else expected them to be that. I think even a lot of Pacers fans didn't have high hopes going into the season. But because of him, for the most part, they're the 7 seed in the East, in a very, very competitive East, nonetheless. And it's, he's leading that charge. He's the best player on that team by a pretty good margin, in my opinion. I think they got good players like Miles Turner. Benedict Mathurin's a really good rookie. But ultimately, the most consistent, dominant player they have is Tyrese. He's the most important part to their whole machine. And he's the biggest reason they're in the 7 seed. So I wanted to give that a little bit of credit because I think they're 17 and 16 now. A lot of people probably would have had them at this point in the season being like 9 and 22 or something like that. So I really like how they're playing, especially, but mostly with Tyrese. But on a little bit of a rampage the last couple games too. A couple games ago against the Celtics, he had 33 points and 8 assists. Boston's one of the very best teams in the NBA. I believe that was a win too that he led him to. They were actually no, yeah, they definitely won that game because they were kind of stomping Boston for a little bit until Boston made a late run. But 33 and 8, they needed all of it. it's just another great game against a great team. I wonder if somebody can fact check this for me, but when's the last time a third year or younger player led the league in assists? Because I don't know if that's ever actually been done. Or maybe Trey. Maybe it was Trey Young. I don't know. But being in that conversation is pretty impressive in my opinion, because his turnover ratio is pretty low too. I think his like assist to turnover ratio is like 3.87, or close to 4 assists per turnover. So if he had essentially 12 assists, he had maybe 3 turnovers to go with it. That is really good, because you're putting up a lot of points with that and you're not giving the other team any possessions in return. So that's one thing that a lot of other ball dominant point guards have a lot more turnovers. You'll see guys, this is not to throw them under the bus or anything, but like guys like Luka, guys like Harden, guys like Trae Young, they're going to have 5-6 turnovers. And Tyrese isn't really prone to that. So that's pretty impressive in my opinion. He's also averaging the highest PI of his career. PI is a player impact estimate, 16.5. So he's it's just basically stating their impact. And he's having an analytically pretty damn good season too. Thing is, like, his true shooting percentage is like 62%. His effective field goal percentage is like 58%, all above league average. And those are, I think, the best in his career, I think. I know for sure the true shooting, maybe not the effective field goal percentage, but nonetheless, having a fantastic year anyway. Just been a machine. I think he's got 20 games with 10 plus assists. There's, I think, 12 games with 12 plus assists. So it's not like he's, just getting to 10 or 11. He's having games with 12, 13, 14, had a lot of 15s. I think he's had like 4 or 5 15 assist games. Like, you don't see those numbers every single night in the NBA, and he's done it quite a few times this season already. I think he's got 18 double doubles, and then in I think it's like 28 out of 30 games he's had a 3. So he's just putting up numbers every single night, and like he might leave a game with 11 points, but he'll have 6 rebounds, 13 assists, and like 3 steals. Like, it's just a different dynamic when he's out there. He's a fun style to watch. Like, he doesn't just dribble for an hour and a half and then chuck up a shot. He's a lot of ball movement. Like, he keeps it moving. He finds the right guy. When they played my Lakers earlier this year, he was literally like slashing through the middle and out of the corner of his eye, catches Andrew Nembhard for what turns into be the game-winning 3. And instead of going hero ball, he makes the selfless move, and an unknown guy like Nembhard drops the game winner. So it's there's another thing just pointing to him trying to be the best teammate that he can be. He's always been somebody that's super nice to the fans. Still loved in Sacramento. From what I've heard, I think he still has love for them too. And that's one of those trades now, him for Sabonis, that actually looks like a win-win. When it happened, I thought it was terrible for the Kings and great for the Pacers, which it's still been great for the Pacers, but I think it's been pretty good for the Kings too. They're having a good year with Sabonis and Fox having career years, or close to it at least. But Haliburton getting to Indiana, I think, was actually better for both sides, because he didn't have to share the ball with Fox anymore. He gets to lead his own charge. And that's not to put Fox down, because I think Fox has been awesome this year. I think he's stepped into star territory. But, Haliburton's in that same conversation. Him, actually, the way I think about it, him and Fox are like right next to each other in terms of like where I would rank them in the top 10 point guards, somewhere in that 7 range, where point guards, it gets a little hard to differentiate who's a point guard, who's not a point guard. Is Luka a point guard? Is Harden a point guard? I don't really know. But in terms of the true point guards, Tyrese Haliburton is one of a dying breed in terms of wants to set up his teammates and then look for his own stuff later. Really, I would say he's probably the second most true point guard in the NBA behind Chris Paul. Chris Paul's main thing out there is just to play with the game in control and making the right reads, making the right passes, making the right plays. I think Tyrese plays a lot like that. So, not saying he's like Chris Paul, but I think the play style and their demeanor is very similar. So, I don't know. I like his season so far. He's definitely going to be an all-star as long as he stays healthy. If he doesn't make an all-star team at the rate he's going, that's going to be a huge snub. But yeah, Pacers fans, y'all got to get him in there. Who are the point guards that you would take ahead of Tyrese Haliburton at this point? Like, because I think that there's maybe seven. Maybe you might be able to argue a couple, but he's definitely in that top 10. So basically what I'm asking, who's your top 10 for point guards? Because this is always so polarizing, because I think most of everyone starts with Steph at 1, but after that, it gets real tricky, and I'm very curious to see what people say. So put it in the comments who your top 10 point guards are, where you have Tyrese at. Do you think he's going to be an all-star? Are you impressed with him? Or are you like Wally Zerbiak, who's just who trashed him, said that he is a good player, never going to be great, doesn't deserve to be an all-star. Just put him down as hard as you could for no freaking reason. Wally had a good career, but Tyrese is going to have a great one. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you enjoy this kind of content, please like the video. I'm done here. Peace.